The given the given pie chart the given pie the given the given The given pie chart information वापर the given search engine market share. There are some elements in purchase such as Google, Yahoo, Search, Bing, Ask, and AOL. It can be observed that various percentage are mentioned 66%, 13%, 3%, 2%. More of the highest percentage is covered by Google around 66%, and the lowest is covered by around AOL 1%. Finally, I can say a lot of research that is very informative. The given pie chart information about countries by proportion of world population. There are some elements in pie chart such as Japan, Mexico, Russia, Bangladesh, Nigeria, Pakistan, Brazil, Indonesia, US, India, and China. It can be observed that various percentages are mentioned: 14.32%, 18.47%, 17.86%, 4.34%, 3.51%, 2.81%, 2.62%, 2.55%, 2.19%, 1.19%, 1.73%, and 1.68%. More of the highest percentage is covered by others, 40.32%, and the lowest is Japan, around 1.68%. Finally, I can say a lot of it, and the picture of this pie chart is very informative. The given pie chart information for approximate composition of the air. There are some elements in pie chart such as oxygen, other gases, nitrogen. It can be observed that various percentage are mentioned: 79%, 20%, 1%. More of the highest percentage is covered by nitrogen, around 79%, and the lowest is other gas, around 1%. Finally, I can say a lot of it, the picture of this pie chart is very informative. The given pie chart information about recycling. There are some elements in pie chart such as thermal recycling, material recycling, chemical recycling, and recycling. It can be observed that million tons are given: 1.85 million tons, 2.04 million tons, and 5.02 million tons. More of the highest percentage is thermal recycling, around 5.0 million tons, and the lowest is chemical recycling, around 0.88 million tons. Finally, I can see a lot of it, and the picture of this pie chart is very informative. The given pie chart information about 2003 total waste generation: 236 million tons before recycling. There are some elements in pie chart such as paper, yard framing, food scraps, plastic, metals, rubber, leather. It can be observed that waste percentage are mentioned: 35.2%, 11.7%, 11.3%, 8.0%, 7.4%, 5.3%, 5.8%, 3.4%. More of the highest percentage is covered by paper, around 35.2%, and the lowest is other, around 3.4%. Finally, I can say a lot of the picture of this pie chart is very informative. The given pie chart information about electricity generation across Australia. There are some pie charts such as coal, natural gas, hydropower, wind, rooftop, solar, bioenergy. It can be also of place percent are mentioned 73%, 13%, 7%. More of the highest percentage is coal covered by 73%, and the lowest is bioenergy around 1%. Finally, I can see a lot of variation. The picture of this pie chart is very informative. The given bug information about our internet users per 100 millions. There are some years in bar graphs such as 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. On x-axis, their years are given 2000, 2011. On y-axis, their numbers are given. More of the highest percentage 2011 around 20, and the lowest is 2000 around 0. Finally, I can see a lot of variation. The picture of this bar graph is very informative. The given paragraph information or income difference by age are associated with difference in material status. There are some ages in paragraphs such as 65 to 69, 70 to 74, 75 to 49, 80 or above. On x-axis, their ages are given. On y-axis, their $1,000 are given. There are three categories in paragraphs such as all units, married couples, non-married couples. If I talk about all units, more of the percentage is 65 to 69, and the lowest is 80. If I talk about married couples, more of the highest percentage is 65 to 69 and lowest is 80. If I talk about married couples, more of the highest percentage is 65 to 69 and the also lowest is 80. If I talk about non-married person, more of the highest percentage is 65 to 69 and the lowest is 80 or older. Finally, I can see a lot of the picture of this. The given paragraph gives information about expenditure by month. There are some elements in paragraph such as conventions, sales training, publication categories, print advertising, online advertising. On x-axis, they are advertising are given. On y-axis, their dollars are given. There are three categories in paragraph: January, February, March. If I talk about January, more of the highest percentages the given paragraph information of barrier to visiting museums of art galleries. There are some elements in paragraphs: lack of time, non-available locality, transportation, problems of entry, cargo responsibility, lack of information about events. On x-axis, their percentage are given. On y-axis, their elements are given. More of the percentage is lack of time around 50, and the lowest is covered by lack of information about event around 10. I can say a lot of Asian. The picture of this paragraph is very informative. The given paragraph information about international companies have the European headquarter. There are some countries in paragraph such as UK, Germany, Switzerland, France, Netherlands, Ireland, Belgium, Spain, and Denmark. On x-axis, their countries are given. On y-axis, their number of European headquarters are given. More of the highest percentage is covered by UK, around 225, and the lowest is Denmark. Finally, I can see a lot of Asian. The picture of this paragraph is very informative. The given paragraph information of entries who incurred expenses, reimbursement available. Some elements in paragraph such as postage, phone calls, mails, training, travel costs, uniform, and others. On x-axis, the elements are given. On y-axis, their percentage are given. More of the percentage is postage around 40%, and the lowest is uniform. Finally, I can see a lot of variation. The picture of this paragraph is very informative. Paragraph information about points of view. There are some elements in paragraph such as strongly agree, agree, neither agree, not disagree, disagree, strongly disagree. On x-axis, their number of responses are given. On y-axis, their elements are given. More of the highest percentage is covered by agree around 1,600, and the lowest is disagree around 400. Finally, I can see a lot of variation. The picture of this paragraph is very informative. The given paragraph information about monthly downloads of WhatsApp and Instagram. There are some months in paragraph such as January, Feb, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Or next section, their months are given. On y axis, downloads in millions are given. There are two categories in paragraphs such as WhatsApp and Instagram. If I talk about WhatsApp, more of the highest percentage is Feb, and the lowest is September. If I talk about Instagram, more of the highest percentage. The given paragraph information about annual tourist number of USA, France, and Japan. On x-axis, years are given 2010 2020. On y-axis, their tourists are given. There are three categories in paragraph: USA, France, Japan. If I talk about USA, more of the highest percentage is 2020, and the lowest is covered by 2012. If I talk about France, more of the highest percentage is covered by 2010, and the lowest is covered by around 2017. If I talk about Japan, more of the highest percentage is covered by 2018, and the lowest is covered by around 2015. Finally, I can see a lot of vision. The picture of this paragraph is very informative. The given paragraph information about amount spent in coffee shops per year. There are some ages in paragraphs such as 18 to 24 years old, 25 to 35 years old, 35 to 45 years old, 45 to 54 years old, 55 to 64-year old, 65 plus years old. On next section, their years are given. On y axis, the amount spent are given. More of the percentage is covered 25 to 35 years old, $2,688, and the lowest is 65 plus year old for $7. Finally, I can say automation. The picture of this bar graph is very informative. The given bio information about population of culture website Scholar and 2013. There are some elements in bio such as none of this thread, concern website, historical and history website, art website, music thread, dance, visual arts, literature, museum gallery website, library website, art record websites. On x-axis, their percentage are given. On y-axis, their elements are given. More of the percentage is none of this around 50%, and the lowest is achieve of record website around 10%. Finally, I can say a lot of variation. The picture of this bar graph is very informative. The given pie check information about how many tourists visit Canada each year. On x-axis, their years are given 2007 2023. On y-axis, their inbound tourist arrival in millions are given. More of the highest percentage is covered by 2019 22.1%, and the lowest is covered by around 2023.0. Finally, I can see a lot of vision. The picture of this bar chart is very informative. The given line graph information about proportion of chronic disease patient by age group. There are some years in line graph 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. On x-axis, the years are given. On y-axis, the percentage of chronic disease are given. There are three categories in line graph: age 2020, 30, ages 31 to 40, 41 to 50. If I talk about blue, it started with around 10 in 2015 and ended with around 18 in 2020. Finally, I can see a lot of vision. The picture of this line graph show fluctuating trend. The given line क्या मेरी वॉइस आ रही है? हेलो 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 आई होप आवाज आ रही है लेक्चर वाह हेलो हेलो आवाज आ रही है हेलो 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 तो चलो आवाज सही हो गया है। वो यूट्यूब की वॉइस क्रैक नहीं हो रही है, डायरेक्ट तो फिर मैंने mic को अटैच करा है। अब हम स्टार्ट कर, देखो हमारा रिटन टेक्स्ट तो हो गया था, हमारा ऐसे हो चुका है, हमारा रीडर अलाउड हो चुका है। डिस्क्राइब इमेज में हमने क्या कहते हैं, ये एक तो हमने वो वाले कर चुके हैं, पाई वाले कर चुके हैं। तो पाई हो चुका है, बार, लाइन एंड टेबल। हमने पाई कर लिया है, हमने बार कर लिया है। अब हम लाइन को कंप्लीट करेंगे, फिर हम टेबल वाला को कंप्लीट करेंगे। ठीक है, आज हम ये चार करेंगे, फिर रिपीट सेंटेंस, फिर रिटेल लेक्चर, ये चीज करनी है। ठीक है, इसलिए हम स्पीकिंग का ये चार पार्ट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है, ये चार इम्पोर्टेंट आना चाहिए। मैं को दिखाता हूँ ये। ठीक है, सबसे पहले हम करते हैं स्टार्ट 5 से। आज जो मेन टॉपिक्स ट्रायल टॉपिक्स है ना, वो सबसे ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है। ट्रायल टॉपिक्स को तो भाई पीएचडी करके जाने हैं। मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक्स हैं ये। हम क्या कहते हैं, इसमें 8 टॉपिक्स होते हैं डिस्क्राइब इमेज में। पहले हम 4 करेंगे, पाई बार लाइन टेबल। उसके बाद जब हमारा ऑलमोस्ट 12 टॉपिक्स हो जाएंगे, फिर हम फिर से डिस्क्राइब इमेज पाएंगे और बाकी के 4 करेंगे। फ्लो, मैप, इमेज और कॉम। Repeat sentence, retell lecture, summarize for context, fill in the blanks, highlight incorrect words, write dictation, reading, writing, filling the blanks। ये सब है। सबसे पहले ना हम एक काम करते हैं, हम लिसनिंग वाला पार्ट कंप्लीट करते हैं, वो आसान भी और जल्दी हो जाएगा। सबसे पहले हम आते हैं हाईलाइट इनकरेक्ट वर्ड्स। 1 2 3 1 2 3 4। 30 टॉपिक में से 12 इंपॉर्टेंट है। हाईलाइट इनकरेक्ट वर्ड स्टार्ट करते हैं पहले। 20 हाईलाइट इनकरेक्ट वर्ड्स करने वाले हैं हम आज।
What we're going to find out today is how it's a bit more complicated than that, which it always is. And I think it's really wonderful. I mean, not being an experimental scientist myself, I have a kind of envy at the way in which science can continue to surprise us by this. People working away in labs, moving on understanding in ways. Hugo is a cognitive scientist at the French National Centre for Scientific Research. Hugo Monsieur.
When societies were still mostly rural and agricultural,
British physicist Lord Rayleigh is best known for his discovery of argon and for explaining British physicist Lord Rayleigh is best known for his discovery of argon and for explaining, in 1871, why the sky is blue. But he also puzzled over this. Rayleigh knew that a kettle makes that sound when steam jets through the hole in a thick lid that has a gap in the middle. He speculated that the jet becomes unstable inside that gap, setting up an acoustic feedback loop within the gap. But he couldn't prove it. Now 2 engineers at Cambridge University claim to have solved the puzzle and proved Rayleigh wrong. The work is in the journal Physics of Fluids. The engineers found that a kettle actually whistles in 2 distinct ways. It starts off with air vibrating in the gap between the layers of the lid, like when you do this and this. But as the pressure builds, vortices of steam peel off from the jet exiting the lid. Each vortex creates sound waves at a frequency that depends on the length of the spout and the pressure inside it. Rising temperature means rising pressure, which produces a rising whistle, which means it's time for tea.
How much do you think grade point average should factor into university admission decisions? Depends on race, actually. At least that's what one survey suggests. The University of California Survey Research Center randomly dialed nearly 600 white adults within the state. They asked half the respondents how important GPA should be in determining admissions to the UC system. They asked the other half the same question, but prefaced it with the fact that Asians make up nearly 40% of the UC student body, 3 times their share of the state's population. Turns out the white group aware of the Asian population placed less importance on GPA, presumably, says sociologist Frank Sampson, because they felt that that particular measure of merit was benefiting Asian students, and not them. Sampson presented the findings at a recent meeting of the American Sociological Association in New York. There's one twist. When respondents were asked to consider competition by blacks as well as Asians, they went back to upping the importance of GPA, possibly to exclude black students they presume would score lower. All of which suggests our opinions about academic merit may be more biased than we'd like to admit.
We might think perfect pitch is an innate talent. Well, a study in the American Journal of Human Genetics is providing some evidence for that. Perfect pitch, aka absolute pitch, is the rare ability to name or recreate musical notes like A or middle C without using any comparable reference. Researchers at the University of California, San Francisco studied the results from an online test taken by over 10,000 people. Not surprisingly, individuals tended to either have perfect pitch or not. But in a closer study of 73 families, researchers found a region of genes on chromosome 8 in those with perfect pitch. And also, they happen to be from European ancestry. More study is needed to actually zero in on just which gene or multiple genes might be responsible. And for comparison, they intend to study individuals without perfect pitch, but with equivalent musical training. There is some evidence that babies have the ability for absolute pitch. So researchers for this study theorize that maybe most lose this ability with age, but that what the so-called pitch gene does is extend this talent through a crucial period in childhood.